Okay, welcome back. You're with us here on Markets Today Talk Back. 50 points lower from last close, 50 points off the lows as well. We are wrapping up the day's events, taking questions and telling you the big stories of the day. We got through 3 headlines of the day. Here's the 4th one. And this is a CNBC TV 18 exclusive, which had a huge move on the stock price of Jet Airways. The stock rallied 16% in trade. We reported earlier that a resolution plan is likely to be finalized as early as this week for Jet Airways. We learned from sources that Naresh Goyal is likely to step down from the board and give up majority control in the ailing airline. Ritu has been tracking the story, got us these details earlier in the day, around 11 or so when we broke this. Ritu, what can you tell us?
Well, Prashant, the good news really is that a resolution plan, which has been in the works for months now, will finally be closed with all the lenders coming together after, Jet Airways and Etihad held a final meeting with SBI last week. We understand, as we've been reporting, the restructuring package that has been agreed upon. Of course, the final contours will be decided in the lenders meeting, which will be held this week. Is that part of that 8,000 crore rupees of debt will be converted into equity, which will be held by an SBI-led consortium. And a lot of, the claim, of course, has been where the bank will only agree to this restructuring package once the promoters bring in fresh funds. And therefore, we understand that Etihad Airways, which currently owns 24% stake in Jet Airways, will be bringing in fresh funds. That will also see its stake rising from 24%. Do remember, under FDI and aviation, Etihad can take its stake up to 49%. Of course, how much the stake increases by exactly will be known after the final contours are signed upon by all the lenders. In addition, as we've been reporting, the bankers are very clear. They do not want Naresh Goyal to continue in his current position. So therefore, after the restructuring is implemented, his stake will fall from 51% to almost half, under 26%. And his voting rights also, we understand, will be capped at 10%. Not just this, he will be replaced by his son Nivan Goyal on the board of Jet Airways. But these are largely the broad contours under which the deal is being worked. And we're expecting some sort of announcement to come as early as this week itself.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The markets appear to be happy that probably there is going to be a change, and more importantly, if there is a change of headship, banks will be able to roll over loans, which is the more important thing to keep it afloat. Questions. Sitaram Mittal has 500 shares of the company. He bought it at 400 rupees each. He's been holding the stock for a year, wants to know if he should hold or sell. Ashwini, any thoughts?
See, now the end game is almost there. So my sense is that it is sort of bottoming out. Now, in such cases, there is all kinds of news flow, sometimes even contrary news flow every other day. But it appears that around 250, 260, Jet appears to be bottoming, and from here, everybody is serious to get this resolved.
Okay, so we move on to the 5th and the last story of the day. Yes Bank surged 6% or so in trade. And remember, this in a market which at one point was down 100 points. I mean, the stock stood out. By close, of course, was up 6%. Investors are awaiting the managing director and CEO announcement. On the other side of the spectrum in banking, there was Federal Bank, which tumbled 5% after its executive director, Ganesh Sankaran, resigned. Abhishek Kothari is joining in with more details on Yes. Abhishek.
Couple of management changes announcement that came over the weekend. So the first one to begin with is Federal Bank, wherein Mr. Ganesh Sankaran, the executive director at Federal Bank, has planned to resign. The reason stated by him is that he is looking at other opportunities in the financial services sector. So his last day of working at Federal Bank will be 15th of February 2019. Also the fact that RBI has raised red flag over the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, which is a loan given to the MSME sector, has also weighed in on the stock performance today, given the fact that SME portfolio accounts to 1/3 of Federal Bank's book. In another management change, RBI has approved the appointment of Mr. Brahm Dutt as the non-executive part-time chairman of Yes Bank. Now, to begin with, Mr. Dutt has been associated with Yes Bank since being its independent director since July 2013. Also, the fact that he chairs the remuneration and nomination committee at Yes Bank. Back to you.
Okay, thanks for that, Abhishek. Chances are more than the non-executive chairman. It is hopes of
the CEO.
Capable CEO that is keeping the market hopeful on Yes Bank. The shots were killed. There is no two ways about that. It was a massive short covering that had to be done today. But let's see how things pan out. Here's someone who has 350 shares, Pawan Kumar. He has 350 shares of Yes Bank, bought at 170 rupees 2 months back. Okay, not a bad price. He says he's a short-term investor, wants to know what he should do, hold or sell. Okay, short term, so I'm going to Ashwini again. Ashwini?
I would think so, because the kind of uncertainty both these guys have gone through, the kind of noise around these stocks, I don't think any weak hands are there. Now the people who are there are going to hold whatever happens. So chances are that both these guys can move higher. The risk reward is favorable.
Deepan, any thoughts? Yes. I mean, actually, why don't you weigh in on Federal Bank as well?
See, I wouldn't want to comment on Federal Bank per se, because you don't track it that closely, and one needs to see this management uncertainty in banks certainly causes a lot of discomfort with investors, and uncertainty certainly will continue in Federal Bank for some more time. But tend to agree with Ashwini's view on Yes Bank. Only caveat here is that I would really like to wait and see what the RBI report on NPA divergences, and if there are no major divergences as to what Yes Bank has reported and what RBI classifies as NPA, I think this stock can really fly, because that, I think, is the real concern, more than the fact that the new CEO, whoever takes over, about his background or his capability. That's the way I have understood the stock. And in IndusInd Bank, if you notice that they have reported that there are no NPA divergences. So my sense is that this RBI reports on NPA divergences may just about start coming out for most of the banks over the next few weeks or so. And that's going to be the most important event to watch out for Yes Bank, according to us, even more than who the new CEO is going to be.
Okay. Yeah, that certainly will be a very important point, Deepan. Actually, let me thank both of you on that note. But we are not done yet. We wanted to dwell a little on that important issue of mudra loans, which appears to have at least taken the market's interest. The Reserve Bank apparently has raised a red flag over the spike in NPAs under the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. An IANS report, India Abroad News Service report, suggested that according to the RBI, bad loans under the scheme have risen to 11,000 crore rupees. But Prashant Kumar, the CFO and Deputy MD of SBI, whom we spoke to, did not think it was a very big problem.
MSME, it's a little higher NPA percentage always in the MSME. So the issue is that this is one sector where the banks need to upgrade the credit underwriting standards using technology and having a better monitoring and the collective mechanism. So this is not like this issue is very critical or this would be really bad for the bank. But in the sense now all the banks need to improve in terms of financing the MSME sector. Stress like NPA levels are still higher, almost 8 to 10% in the MSME sector. So we are not expecting any further increase in the NPAs.
Okay, that brings us to a close of this edition of Markets Today Talk Back. From Lata, me, everyone on the team, thank you very much for staying with us. More coming up on the other side.